Well, it is my pleasure to be here at the Conservative Political Action Conference just outside of Washington, D.C. with Alaska Governor Mike Dunleavy. The last time I saw you was in Alaska.
You were there,
I
yes.
was there, so it's a pleasure to have you here in Washington, D.C.
It's great to be here.
And a lot has changed since we last spoke several months ago.
Yes.
We have a new president.
It's a whole new world.
It's a whole new world. And we're under an administration now that is very pro-energy, pro-fossil fuels. And of course, Alaska is at the center of that conversation. Speak a little bit about just what has changed on that energy production front for Alaska just in the first month of Trump's presidency.
Everything's changed. So it's energy, absolutely. We'll talk about that, but it's also minerals, critical minerals, other strategic metals. I mean, you name it. Whatever Alaska has is now open for business as far as the federal government goes. So President Trump actually issued an executive order for our state, the only state that got its own executive order.
Wow.
And the reason for that is because of our abundance of oil, gas, our mining potential, our timber potential. So the president has, through his executive orders, is going to undo what the Biden administration did. The 4 years under the Biden administration, they were brutal. They were brutal for Alaska. Opportunity was stolen left and right through upwards of 66, 68 executive orders and actions by the federal government. And so President Trump hit it right on day one, practically. Rescued Alaska, rescued, I think, the country, and quite frankly, the world from this social engineering approach that was taking place. In other words, we weren't running out of oil and gas, we weren't running out of coal, but we had more and more prohibitions by the Biden administration on what we could do, what we could use, what we could drive, what we could cook with. That is now all gone, and so tremendous opportunity for Alaska. We are working on a massive gas line project, 800-mile pipe. We pioneered LNG export, folks don't realize this, to Japan. We pioneered LNG export for North America in 1969. We're about the second LNG export operation going on in the world. And so we want to return to that. We want to be able to ship gas to our Asian allies. We want to be able to drive down the cost of energy in Alaska. We want to be able to have manufacturing, data farms, you name it, come to Alaska. And these executive orders pave the way for that. So we're excited, we're working it, and it's just fantastic news for everybody.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about that pipeline. Where does it start? Where does it end? What are the construction aspects to that?
Yeah, very good question. So it starts up in Prudhoe Bay, which is where our major oil field is, but also our gas fields. It would go 800 miles down past Anchorage to a place called Nikiski, which is on Tidewater, right near the old plant that used to export gas from Cook Inlet. There's going to be a liquefaction plant down there to be able to liquefy the gas and ship it to Asia. On the North Slope, there's going to be a carbon conditioning plant, gas conditioning plant that will strip out the impurities and put it back into the basin, not release into the air. So those three parts of the project, about $40-some billion. The line, phase one, as we call the line, we believe we're going to be able to start construction here, we hope, early next year and get that completed, hopefully get gas flowing through that in 2 years as we're concurrently working on the other two components. And so, big project, lots of jobs, lots of opportunity, and about 50 to 60 years of gas for our Asian allies.
50 to 60 years
Tremendous
of
amounts
gas.
of gas.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that is in the ground in Alaska.
It's not only in the ground, we've been recycling it, so we don't have to explore for it. You know, we already have it recycled back as a part of the oil production, taking oil out of the ground. So we know how much gas we have. We know what the content of that gas is, and we're ready to monetize it, market it, and get it to our friends.
And what does that mean for our economy?
A lot. Because an 800-mile pipeline that's 42 inches is a lot of steel, a lot of workers, a lot of opportunity. And so there will be thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs associated with this project. Tons of steel, unbelievable amounts of steel, modules made for the liquefaction plant, for the conditioning plant. It's going to be a golden age for this country.
Wow. Now, you spoke a second ago about some of those regulations that have kind of been pulled back. Explain that a little bit more. What were you dealing with under the Biden administration that now you have the freedom to fully tap into some of these resources that Alaska naturally has?
Offshore oil leases were suspended. ANWR, which we believe has a large oil and gas find in the Arctic National Wildlife Region, which was part of it, was designated for oil and gas production. We, under the Trump administration, leases were sold and purchased But the Biden administration really prohibited those leases from being executed. So it was a violation of law. It hurt Alaska. I think it hurt America because we could be in the early stages of producing oil. NPRA, Naval Petroleum Reserve, land, millions of acres designated for oil production 100 years ago under President Harding. At least 13 million acres of that was taken off the table by the Biden administration. So between ANWR, NPRA, offshore oil, in many respects, our future in oil production in Alaska was basically doomed when President Trump came in. All of that has changed.
Wow.
So all of this is going to be back on the table. Will there be lawsuits? There's always lawsuits by environmental groups. But in the end, I think we're going to prevail. And what we really want to do is get, to the extent possible, Congress to put into law what the president is doing so we don't have this whipsawing effect every 4 years. So investors can know that by investing in Alaska, it's a safe investment.
Yeah. Have members of Congress expressed an interest in that, of putting this into law and ensuring that we can keep moving forward regardless of who's in the White House?
We're down here talking to congressmen and senators right now. They see the value in that. And they see the value in working very quickly to get that to happen, because you never know as time goes on if you lose momentum or other things come into the picture to take the focus away. But my hope, and we'll keep talking with as many congressmen and senators as possible, is that we get legislation moving that ensures long-term stability for our resource industries.
What does this mean for everyone that lives down in the lower 48, specifically in terms of gas prices? We all feel that when we go to the gas pump, we want to see those prices come down. Could that happen in the coming months, years? If
we're producing more oil, that's going to have an impact on the market. That's going to have an impact on prices for fuel oil, for gases, you name it. Our gas project is focused mainly on Asia. But again, there's a national security issue in the Pacific. Alaska is the fort for America. We are just a few miles from Russia. We have Russian ships plying our waters. We have Russian flyovers with their Air Force. The Chinese take ships up through the Bering Strait. The Koreans have a missile reach into Alaska. So we're the actual fort, but also we help our Asian allies. By getting their gas from America, they have a safer venue for that gas. They have a safer country to deal with in terms of the United States. So that gas will be shipped, hopefully, on ships associated with our country to our Asian allies and be consistent in our shipments for at least 50 to 60 years. That stability, that security, I think, is what our Asian allies want.
Wow. The last time we spoke, before I let you go, I want to ask a follow-up question. So it was the end of summer, 2024. There was a lot going on in the Arctic with Russia. We discussed that. Give us a quick update. Have we seen any more developments of Russian activity around the Arctic in the past several months?
Well, we haven't seen any balloons floating over to be shot down.
Good.
But we do continually have Russian aircraft come close to Alaska. They're pretty much preoccupied with what's happening in Ukraine, obviously.
Yeah.
We get Russian ships plying our waters close to Alaska. Joint operations sometimes with the Chinese. So that'll always be an issue, but with a strong Alaska, a strong military, and with the president's focus on our great state in those areas, I feel pretty secure for our people and for the United States of America. But Alaska's there to help. Alaska's there to help solve the issues for this country, and we've got tremendous potential to do that.
Governor Dunleavy, thank you for your time.
Always great talking with you.
Subscribe to get the news the legacy media won't tell you and only the Daily Signal can bring to you.